Jackson for ably sitting in for me. I heard such good things about him during the 8 weeks I was campaigning up and down California. Let me just give you a couple of emails I received. One from Susan. Hi, Larry. Missed you dearly while you were running for governor. You ran a great campaign, and I followed you every step of the way. I love how you call people out with facts. You could not have picked a better host to fill in for you. How do we get Carl Jackson syndicated? He speaks the truth. Warmest regards, Susan. Here's another one. I have to say Larry has become my favorite talk show host, but now I'm struggling to find out who I like better. Carl has done such a dang great job filling in for Larry. I truly hope he's being considered for a permanent position here in the Inland Empire. To be able to hear them both every day would bring this listener to your radio station every day for sure. I thank you for having brought both of them to us for our listening choices. They are both absolutely outstanding. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Signed, Sancona. And I've had many more like that. Again, many people have talked about how great a job he did while I was on the campaign trail. And thank you so much for keeping my audience warm and ready. And I heard such respectful things he said while I was away. From time to time, I would tune in. And I got a lovely, lovely reception from the people I work here. My understanding is that I was supposed to get some sort of grading when I got off the elevator on this floor in this building at 2 o'clock. Unfortunately, I came in at 1:30. Oops! But I got such wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cards and letters from people here at the station during the time that I ran. I've been asked many times, do you regret having decided to run? And the answer is not one moment, not one nanosecond. I knew it was going to be grueling. I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew the odds were against me. I knew the media would be unfair. But I do have to say that I underestimated the ability of my opponent. My opponent was Gavin Newsom, not the fellow Republicans who ran on the replacement side. I do have to say I underestimated the ability of my opponent to simply say Larry Elder is, quote, more Trump than Trump, which is what he said. Larry Elder is a Trump Republican, whatever that means. A Trump wannabe, and I was called Trump Light. Now, this state is roughly 50% registered Democrat. That is about 5% more registered Democrats than back in 2003 when the first and only governor of California, Governor Gray Davis, was recalled and replaced by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Since then, as I mentioned, there are now 5% more registered Republicans than 18 years ago, to the point now where nearly half the state is registered. I said Republican, I meant Democrat. To the point where now half the state is registered Democrat. There are 50% more registered independents than there were in 2003. And that is relevant because even the New York Times conceded independents in California vote Democrat. Then it comes to the Republican registration. There are now 33% fewer registered Republicans than was the case in 2003. So now you're talking about roughly 2-to-1, almost 3-to-1 when you throw in the independents, Democrats/independents versus Republicans. So it is very, very difficult for a Republican to win statewide. There hasn't been a Republican who's won anything statewide in California in almost 20 years. That said, there are 58 counties here in California. On the recall side, and by the way, there were two parts to the vote. The first part is, do you want Gavin Newsom recalled? In order for him to be recalled, there had to be 50% plus one voting to recall Gavin Newsom. If he is recalled, then you go to the replacement side. Whoever got the greatest number of votes would then become the next governor of California. So the first part was essential to make sure that 50% plus one voted to recall Gavin Newsom, which did not happen. And the margin of defeat / his margin of victory surprised many experts, surprised people in my staff. On election night, September 14, and keep in mind, ballots went out 30 days before that, so people were already voting by mail, and history shows that the people who are most likely to vote by mail are Democrats and independents. Republicans typically wait near the end and often prefer to vote in person. So I heard all sorts of people on election night talking about how long the lines were in Republican counties and areas of even Los Angeles where people are likely to be more conservative. So it gave us a great deal of hope that maybe this thing might drag out for a while. Instead, the election was called within 30 or 40 minutes of the polls officially closing. But again, on the recall side of the 58 counties in California, I got half of them. Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California, got the other half. On the replacement side, we got roughly 49% of the votes. That is a higher percentage than Arnold Schwarzenegger got in 2003 on the replacement side. There were 45 other candidates on the replacement side. We got more votes in terms of percentage than all the other of the 45 rivals combined. In 7 or 8 weeks, I raised roughly $20 million. That is more than my Republican rivals combined, even including one of them who was a multimillionaire who put in millions of dollars of his own money. In 8 weeks, we outraised all of the rivals combined. Quite impressive. And the state Republican Party did not endorse me. Now, they were all set to endorse a man named Kevin Faulconer. He is a 2-term mayor of San Diego. He ran for a whole year and tried very, very aggressively to get the official endorsement from the California State Republican Party. And had we not gotten into the race, he most assuredly would have gotten it. And when they were going to have their vote, it was pretty clear that the grassroots, regular rank-and-file Republicans wanted me, not him. And so they decided to vote for no one, to endorse no one. And then he graciously wrote them a letter and said, you know what I think you ought to do? I think you guys ought not endorse anyone, having tried for a whole year to get their endorsement. So we did quite well, especially given the late entry into the campaign. Now, I was asked many times, why did you enter so late? And the answer is I was not going to run. It was a very reluctant thing until the very end. As you know, Dennis Prager first approached me on behalf of many people who asked him to approach me because they know that Dennis is a close friend, and I greatly respect Dennis's opinion. And Dennis suggested that I run, and as you know, I initially told him, hell no. And then I was approached by a woman named Jenny Sand. She is an activist in conservative circles here in California. I didn't know who she was. And she wrote me and wrote me and wrote me and wrote me very long, detailed letters outlining how and why she thought I could win and how much money she thought I could raise. And finally, I told Nina, my girlfriend, look, let's just have coffee with her for 5 or 10 minutes and just get rid of her. So we decided to meet with her for coffee. 3 hours later, we were still talking, but I still wasn't convinced. But I must say it had gone from hell no to no. Pastor Jack Hibbs, my pastor, also approached me and also made the same arguments that others had made. And I was approached also by a man named Lionel Chetwin. Lionel Chetwin is a longtime filmmaker, a very close friend of mine. He ended up being the chairman of my campaign, and he also suggested that I run. And then finally I said to myself, let me ask normal people, people that I interact with every day, like my barber, like the person that I take my cleaners to. And all of them said the same thing. Basically, if not you, who? If not now, when? So I decided that I'm in it to win it. 888-971